So next up is Performance Lab of California. We've got Ed and Maury Cross.
Hey, so first of all, thanks for having us. This is a great event. Everybody's here to try to find out what is the latest, newest thing in exercise science, and that's what we're here to talk to you about today. There's a need for movement analysis and motion analysis, and that is that everyone has movement patterns unique to them. And these develop over time. You're a little kid, you sprain your ankle, you hobble around for 3 or 4 weeks. Pretty soon, you neurologically have to compensate for that, so your body starts to use muscles differently. This can be good and bad all at the same time. You're a 200-meter sprinter, you're always running left hand, or if you're a high jumper, always using your left leg. That's great until you go out and try to play football, where you have to be more balanced and move right and left, and then you have an overused side and an underused side. Overused sides end up manifesting themselves in injury. So if you load these the reason for the assessment is if you load these inefficient movement patterns, it's like pushing on the gas when you're sliding on ice. All you're going to do is make it worse. Now, how has assessment evolved? Back in the day, we just ran everybody through the same program. There was no real assessment. And they came up with FMS. The problem with FMS is it's subjective, so you take a look at someone in a certain pose and you have to give them a number, a 1, a 2, or a 3. Maybe he's a 2.5. So it's subjective. Objectively, there's been force plates, then it came with marker systems, and now we're into digital motion capture. It's like the difference between phonographs, VHS, all the way up to DVDs. It's the difference between X-ray and MRI. What if you went to the doctor, and you walked into the doctor and you said, "Doctor, I'm feeling this and feeling that." The doctor said, "Oh, wait a minute. I want you to get in this system, let me take you through this system, and I'm going to tell you what's wrong with you." That's kind of what we're talking about. Welcome to the Performance Lab of California. It's 18 motion capture cameras that shoot 120 frames a second, which is 2,000 pictures every second. It can detect a millimeter of valgus. That's where your knee moves towards the midline. And it can give you objective patient outcome. What it detects is imbalances, asymmetries, overused, underused, joint torque, and really compensation patterns, objectively. That's the biggest difference, is that it's objective. It's for everyone, but our focus is mostly on sports people in athletics, although it's for corporate health. I'll give you one quick example. Anytime, and I give a couple other examples, some of the people I talked to earlier, but anytime you try to propel something forward, hitting a baseball, hitting a golf ball, throwing anything, you have to transfer your weight. We had a quarterback, he's committed to UCLA. I know there's a UCLA guy in here a minute ago. And what we noticed when we looked at the playback of his film is that every time he started to transfer his weight, he got to a certain point and his hips stopped. So in the old days, I'm sitting back there going, "Keep your hips moving, keep your hips moving, keep your hips moving." It's like giving the kid that reads Cat in the Hat Othello and say, "Read it, read it." Doesn't make him actually be able to have the ability to read that. Took him to the lab, found out a couple things. One, he wasn't firing glute med. 2, he had a rhomboid imbalance. They did a number of things to try to correct that. One was hook a tens unit to the glute med, and then work on the rhomboid imbalance. Here's the important part about that. As a quarterback coach, I would never have looked at him in his weight transfer. I'm just going to tell him, "Keep your hips moving, keep your hips moving." I would have never looked at him and been able to deduce that there was a rhomboid imbalance preventing him from having the ability to keep his weight moving forward as he got his elbow up and over. That's maybe a little bit too technical. But at the same time, University of Missouri had the first system. They've had it for 3 years. They've been in the SEC championship game the last 2 years in a row. They use it for all sports. They test all 520 athletes every month. And one of the reasons is as your movement patterns change, it guides your workout. This is the newest, most exciting thing that I've seen. I've been in the exercise science since the early 70s. And I'm going to introduce Maury to talk to you about the details of it.
All right, thank you. What I wanted to do is be able to give you a video to be able to kind of see exactly what it is that we're talking about. What makes it so cool is, again, the whole markerless part. So you can just see I just walked right in, and now I'm able to start moving around really freely in any way that I want to be able to do. All the cameras around there are completely markerless, and what we're doing is we're taking a 3D image and we're putting it onto a 2D screen that we can manipulate any way that we want. So you can see how when I'm moving around just like that, I can zoom in, I can zoom out. I know my kids here don't make fun of my back pedal here. I'm sure there's a few tips you can give me there, but it's really great in terms of being able to get a full range of 3D and transverse movements. And so what a lot of the traditional movement biomechanics labs do is it just like you hop onto a force plate and you just do that. What we have the ability to do is we could have you throw, we could have you move side to side, we could have you even lift a weight and be able to measure all of your force, all of your kinetics, all of your kinematics, and that makes it so now we can see what exactly muscles are you firing, and then more importantly give you a roadmap of how are we going to correct this into the future. Now we'll be able to see this in a second. Me people lifting weights, and so I can come in with any additional move, any additional weight or equipment, and still be able to utilize it the same way. The system was created by Organic Motion, and they are huge in animation. They made Far Cry 4 and the last Batman Arkham City, and then we do all of our biomechanics through Dynamic Athletics, and what they give us is the 7-page report behind everything. And so that gives us the ability to look at a vertical jump and see, okay, your right side at your right hip you're producing 45% of your body rate of force, while on your left hip you're producing 65%. Well, now we know that your left side is producing obviously more force. What are we going to do to address that? And that's why this is so important, and this is why it's going to be such a big thing, is because nobody can get that specific. Nobody can look in and see specifically what joint you're firing, or how much force is being produced at one specific joint, and also the musculature that's being utilized in that specific joint. Now I'll give you an example of how we go through the playback, and this is showing more of the manipulation side of things. So with our 18 cameras, now we can stop, we could slow down, we could do whatever we want, and we kept the stick figure that you guys saw earlier, so this would be, me, and now we slow down and jump, and you can see now all of a sudden something you couldn't see before with my left hip kind of being able to lean to the right, and that makes a big impact on how my spine's moving. You can see that a little bit better here, where I'm starting to have to lean a little bit to the right side with my spine, putting more force onto my upper body. And so this is a big part of what my dad was talking about before, where one thing that you might say, okay, you got to be able to transfer your weight better at your hip. It could end up to be something that is not even at the hip that is really prohibiting it. And this goes into the throwing analysis. So what's so important, or where I think the most value is for this system, is something where there's millions of dollars lost and gained each year through this exact movement. So whether it's a pitch or a throw, there's always guys that are getting injured, and it's a big loss for, if it's a big time pitcher and now you're scrambling around trying to find a new guy because he has Tommy John surgery, or for quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, he was the guy that the Seahawks picked up late in the 5th round and now is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and the Seahawks saved a ton of money because they knew that they got a guy that is more efficient with their movement or can throw better, and didn't get somebody that just had all the intangibles, which are important as well. So going now into the impact on sports, and so as if you go back into the 1900s, the person who won the 100-meter dash is somebody that wouldn't even win the high school state track meet this year. So that just shows the progression of people as we've been able to develop better utilization of our body, and also better ways to train the body and more efficient ways to train the body. And that's what this system does. It gives you a roadmap to be able to say, okay, this is how you're going to continue to get better, and then we can also monitor how you're improving. And so, as somebody is going through a program and training, we can see, okay, is what we're doing working? Is that making a positive impact? And if it isn't, now we can change it. And if it is, now we're going to keep on doing that until we have somebody that has a significant improvement in their life, their sport, whatever the case may be. Impact on sports, I think this is a revolutionary concept. The thing is that right now you go into a strength and conditioning weight room, and it's just everybody's doing stuff based off of how you'll get better for baseball or football. It doesn't take anything into consideration with what does the athlete bring to the table? What does the athlete need to improve on? And now with just going through our system, and you can see how fast and easy it is to use, you go through a 10-minute analysis. We had 20 guys come in and we went through them in 3 hours. So now a baseball team has a ability to take all of that data and apply that to, okay, our team needs to get better at whatever it is, thoracic rotation, glute med activation, and ankle range of motion. And now that is a big part of what we're going into this program with. And now every single year, or even every 2 or 3 months, there's a bigger focus, and it's all about the importance of the team. Now, why we need the investment is because we only right now operate in the lab. We want to be able to expand where we are, get a bigger spot, and also work in improving the technology. Right now, we don't have anything for an objective way to track throwing analysis or an ACL test. Also, we want to get an app developed that would make it easier for more of the mobile users to be able to utilize. And lastly, we have the growth strategy. So we spent $300,000 already in making sure that we have the right cameras, the right technology, implementing it the right way, having the right education behind implementing it. And so as we're able to as we develop this, now we have an exact process for how we can create the best athletes, and that's what we want to be able to do. And that is, or the return on investments is, we want to be able to, we already are working with a ton of athletes already. Now if we just add a training program to that, I think we have an infinite amount of people that are interested in growing the best athlete or creating the best athlete, and also plenty of people in therapy that are trying to stay healthy and have post-rehab to make sure that they don't have the same ACL tear or anything like that, knee injury, low back pain, stuff like that is what we're trying to improve and get better with our technology. Thank you.